Okay, thanks for being here, everybody, on a Thursday. I hope those of you who were able to come enjoyed hearing Mark Witt speak yesterday. There were quite a few of you here. Don't forget that between now and Wednesday, send me an email telling me what you learned. Some of you already have, and I will write it down in the grade book, and you'll get 5 extra credit points on your next test, which is in about 2 weeks. Now, I also wanted to tell you that, do you remember way back to the start of class, I told you if you did the exit interview for, you got a certain, not the exit one, but a pre-test, you got, that I'd give you 2 bonus points, I think, on the first test. I haven't done that yet. So I just ordered from research the names of the people who took it. And the next few days, I'm going to go in and add 2 points to your test if you took it. So I'm going to add that to your first test. I think it was 2 points. I put it in an email. I don't think I would have given 5 points for that, but I'll double check. Do you remember what I said? Yeah, I put it in an email. So whatever I have in the email, I'll add 2 points to your test. And those 7 points might make a difference. It's hard to share when you're home, but you can unmute and do so. I'm just curious, just 1 or 2 things you guys learned about the speaker yesterday or from the speaker before we start this chapter. What'd you guys learn? And feel free to chime in from home. I don't want to put you on the spot because you're the only one in the room. Okay. So PR is less behind the scenes than people think it is. Okay. One of my favorite things, it's not like I didn't know it, but the way he phrased it really stuck out in my mind. He said, PR is like salt. You don't know it's missing till it's gone, or you don't really notice it till it's gone. You could also say you don't notice it till it's too much. If you have too much salt, you notice that. But the lack of public relations is something that is very noticeable if an organization doesn't do it well. Anybody from home want to share? You may or may not have come yesterday.
I love that he talks about how like young PR people should listen to older, like more experienced about like their wisdom, and then how older, like more experienced PR people should listen to the young people about like their ideas that they have.
I like that too, Emily. I think the best PR practitioners and the best professors listen to their students and learn from them, because you never stop learning. It's lifelong learning to go into many fields, but it's definitely true of public relations. And so I do hope that I'm not necessarily happy that I'm kind of a senior PR person now because I'm pushing 60, but I am. And so I hope, that gives me some credibility, but I hope it gives me enough wisdom to listen. And so I also liked it when he told you guys that the future is waiting for you. I thought that was very powerful, because you're the next generation that's going to make a big difference. And I really liked that, because I hope you know that. I hope you know the potential you have and the great things that you're going to do, some of which you can't even imagine today. But I liked that call to action. Anybody else want to share anything that they learned from Mark? We don't have to belabor it, but I just thought it was a particularly good presentation. Okay, no big deal. I appreciate those of you who came. I also appreciate that maybe some of you couldn't come, so it's not like I unappreciate you. You just couldn't make it. So we got almost all the way through this PowerPoint presentation the other day, but we weren't quite there, so I wanted to finish it up. Well, this thing's persnickety. Huh. Okay. There we go.
If you haven't taken attendance yet, I'm here. I was just a little bit late.
Who said that?
Colin McCarty.
Well, I didn't have you down, Colin. Thank you for speaking up.
Yeah, I got the email for the code a little bit late, so I joined. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the same code every time, really, but I really need to send it because people don't always save it. So, yeah, I sent that late. I apologize to you guys for that. It just kind of slipped my mind to do it. But I think I got everybody else.
No, I'm here too, Nairobi.
Ah, you're right, Nairobi. I don't have you. I will mark you present. Okay, anybody else just now come in? Okay, it does look like I think I've got everybody else. Naomi, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but did you come yesterday? Do you have anything you want to share about the speaker? Maybe you didn't come.
Me, no, I didn't.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. Okay, so I think, yeah, we did that slide. So I think we're here on courting campaign coverage. Hey, by the way, the last presidential debate is tonight. They have given the moderator, I think, power to turn off the mics. So if they start talking over each other, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And so I'm glad they're having one more debate. Well, campaign coverage is something that all campaigns, whether they're presidential, congressional, senatorial, mayoral, whatever office you're running for, you try to get press coverage of your events because for one thing, that's free, okay? So you will, if you're running a campaign, you will raise money and buy and purchase ads. And so that's media that you can control. And you want to do that because right now, and I'm not making political statements, I'm making statements of fact. Right now, Joe Biden has raised more, I know I keep looking over here, I'm sorry, has raised more money than President Trump. And so he has a lot more ads going on. Is that Emily?
Yeah,
Okay. I think I've already got you down.
yeah, you do. I was driving, I zoomed in, I didn't miss it.
Sure. So advertisement is one thing. It can really, really make a big difference. But what we're kind of talking about here is courting coverage, trying to get the media to cover you. You can't control news coverage, but you don't have to pay for it. So if you can get free coverage, it really helps your campaign. Imagine, can't think of the word I'm trying to say. Going back to campaign 2016, one of the things that a lot of people commented on was that Donald Trump was very good at getting free press coverage. When he first joined the campaign in 2016, you know, he was a businessman. He was from the show where he fired people. What's that called? Was that The Apprentice?
Celebrity apprentice.
Celebrity Apprentice. And so he was kind of a celebrity guy, but people didn't take him super serious as a candidate, but he was pretty bombastic. And he would say things that would get the media's attention because they love scandal, they love conflict, and they'd have him come on their shows. And every time he came on a show to talk about something he said, he got free publicity. And that's not the only reason he won the presidency that year, but it is one of the reasons he won the nomination, I think, of the Republican Party, is he got all this free media. So one of the things that he is good at is getting media coverage, and campaigns try to do that. Campaigns have chairs. People are ahead of the campaign that work with the candidate, and that person is always trying to get the media to cover them. And they have campaign managers, and so there's a real structure involved in that. Have any of you guys seen the movie, I believe it was made for HBO, called Game Change? Pretty sure that's the name of it. It was after the election. It was about the selection of Sarah Palin as the vice presidential running mate for John McCain. And if you liked Palin, McCain, the movie maybe, you might not like it because it's kind of got a slant where she shouldn't have been picked. And if you liked her, you might disagree. But one of the things that's fascinating about the movie is just the media coverage of it all. When she was rolled out as the vice presidential nominee, the night they did it, it was kind of a surprise, and they kept it as a secret. And so when they rolled her out, it made it kind of a bigger splash because it had been a secret. And they did a really good job rolling her out. It was a really, a coup almost, or not a coup, a kudos, I would say, that it was a really good job. And then over time, depending upon your perspective, she seemed to not always have great media appearances. She had an interview with Katie Couric where she couldn't tell Katie Couric anything that she'd read and things like that. And so she kind of began to unravel depending upon your perspective. A lot of people still like her. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But it's a very interesting movie. And I believe it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime if you're interested. And more than the partisanship of the movie, just the give and take of the media is kind of an interesting thing to watch. One of the things that you try to do when you court the media is create photo ops. You try to get the media to take your picture doing different things. And some of the photo ops have worked through history and some of them haven't. I remember when Michael Dukakis was running for president. I want to say it was 88, but I'm not sure I have the right year. One of the things he did is he went to like someplace and he got in a tank and was driving it around. And he was a short little guy with a helmet on, and he just looked goofy. And so that particular photo op was supposed to design to show him as, you know, possible commander in chief, and he just looked like a goofball. And so sometimes the photo ops will backfire. Trying to think of other just photo ops. You may or may not agree with this, and that's okay. That's the wonder of what we do, right? But a few years ago, when W. Bush was president, and he landed on the aircraft carrier and declared the war in Iraq over, very powerful. He landed on a plane, on an aircraft carrier in a plane. He looked good in his suit because he very fit. He's very athletic. And he looked great giving his speech until there was a banner behind him that said mission accomplished, that I don't think he had anything to do with. And then the war continued and continued, and that became something that ended up mocking him. So what turned out to be what they were hoping was a pretty good photo op. I don't mean to diminish the ceremony, but that's kind of what that was. And I'm not saying they all do that. They all look for photo ops. But be careful what somebody else might do. I don't know who put that out there. Maybe some of his people did, but it ended up kind of backfiring a little bit. Can you guys think of any photo ops that presidents have done that backfired? Yeah.
There's one in the book we were talking about where Hillary Clinton was comforting, and it was like a child, and like apparently she got some backlash for it, and she got some praise for it. So.
Yeah, that's one thing the public does. We kind of love, hate our politicians. So sometimes you do something like that, the public likes you for it, and if the public doesn't like you, they may not like you for it. The ideal win is you do something that's universally accepted. But today we are a pretty divided country. We're almost divided 50-50. Not quite, maybe it's like 46-46, and then there's some people in between. But the idea is a photo op is not real news. It's kind of news that you're creating to try to get buzz. And you can have some real long-term negatives. Like, again, I think when Bush landed on that aircraft carrier and everything, that looked really good, but there was still fighting going on in Iraq. And so over time, people looked at that mission accomplished and said, no, it's not. So, and there have been other examples of that kind of thing. You also want to be very careful in controlling the media. Sometimes there will be a real push to limit the media's access to the candidate or to the campaign, because there's kind of this notion that if they dig around, they might find something that's true or not true, but if they publish it, you're still in trouble. But you want to be very careful. This is a country with a free press, and the press really love their First Amendment. All citizens should, but you want to be very careful not to try to control them, because if you do, they will buck, and they will, it might end up having a negative effect if you try to tell a reporter how to cover something. So try to not control the media when you're in a campaign. So campaign messages are a big part of, well, they're kind of the meat of the campaign, right? They're what the candidate is supposed to be all about. And so you come up with a particular message. When Trump ran in 2016, his message was, let's make America great again, because it's not as good as it could be. Now that he is president, he's like, let's keep it great. So those are kind of his two big messages. Biden's message is kind of, let's get rid of Trump. That's kind of his message. He's like, I'm not entirely sure his message is let's make America humane again, but that's certainly how the Democrats look at it. Let's make America about America again. And let's see. When Reagan ran, he wanted to, his slogan was let's make America great again. So that's been a recycled thing. Reagan was the president who started in one of the debates. He turned to the camera and he asked Americans, he said, are you as well off today as you were 4 years ago? If not, vote for me. And now that's kind of a measuring stick of all campaigns. You want to try to generate buzz around your message, and you want to try to be as accurate as possible. There's always people out there who are fact-finding and checking you out. In terms of using the internet for campaigns and things like that, one thing the book talked about is the digital divide, which is there are some people who can't afford a computer and can't afford to be online. And so there's this kind of divide between those who have and those who have not. And so that's one concern. And there's also, we talked a little bit about fundraising. The more money you can raise, the more advertising you can buy. And so grassroots endeavors to raise money often can impact campaigns and their messages. So these are the main, and don't get too excited, we're not leaving yet, but these are the main kind of themes in this particular chapter. Media government tension, it's set up that way and it's actually healthy. If for the media to keep an eye on the government, there's a natural tension there. The government tries to manipulate us sometimes, and they do it through the media, political campaigning, campaign coverage, and messages. And so all of this information is changed ever since cable became such a big force in our society. All the different cable stations, the 24/7 news station, and they made a big change here. Any question about any of the stuff that's in the chapter? Okay. Yeah.
Grassroots, like, what is that?
Okay.
Like the fundraising part is like, where do like the grassroots?
That's a really good question. So there's different kinds of fundraising. So like the Republican National Committee or the Democratic National Committee, they raise funds. And it's a big organization that's national and they try to raise funds. Grassroots fundraising is kind of, instead of top down, it's bottom up. So if I'm a citizen and I get ticked off because the mayor did something and I decide I want to run a campaign against the mayor, I get other citizens ticked off and we start raising money. So a lot of fundraising is top down, but grassroots is bottom up. Any other questions? That was a really good question. As if not, what I would want to do, I want to spend a little bit of time, just in part because it's interesting, it's educational and a little bit of fun. I want to watch some political campaign ads from the past, just a few of them I thought you guys might enjoy. But no questions. Let me pull those up, okay? Give me just a second to toggle between the screens. That's what I needed there. Okay. I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to stop recording now because I don't know if there are copyright issues for my recording these recordings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. We can show them in class. And then for people who may watch the recording, I'll send them the link and I think they can watch them at home. I'm just not sure I'm supposed to record them, if that makes sense, for copyright reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.